here in Burning Frame TV. So I want to welcome everybody so that they can listen and be blessed. So welcome Bishop Errol E. Williams, all the way from Miami, Florida, United States of America. A bishop of New Alpha Ministries. So I want to give him, maybe he can give us an intro about himself and about the ministry.
Well, thank you so much, Bishop John. It's a delight and a pleasure to be here. My name is Errol Williams. I was born in Jamaica. I'm the father of 2 children, Nikita and CJ, grandfather of 2, Nathan and Jeremiah. We have an amazing, son-in-law. He's a son, really, Jonathan Sherlas. I'm also the pastor of New Alpha Worship Center. We are one church in 2 locations. We are in Miami, Florida. We're out of Florida, and we're also in a city called Fort Myers, and it's a delight to be with you tonight. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Bishop. I heard that you said you're married.
Married for 44 years.
He's married for 44 years.
Yes, sir.
I think I should ask you a question. One woman or how many?
Actually, I've been married for 44 years to the same one woman.
Okay, and because the world have changed, it's good to ask somebody whether is it a female wife or a male wife. Or tell us the gender of your wife.
Yeah, that's a good question. My wife is female, meaning that she's a woman. Woman.
You have said that you have a daughter and you have a son.
I have a daughter.
Is your son a she or he?
You know, my son is an email.
Is a male.
Email.
And your daughter is a she or a he?
My daughter is a she-male.
Wow.
Or a female.
That's just something to go pass by. In your church, having come from a very developed country where the rights of men are highly elevated, even to some point elevated than the rights of God, in your church and your ministry and your family, do you practice, allow, or entertain gayism or same-sex marriages or support?
Okay, so in New Alpha Worship Center, what we do practice is that we practice love for all people and to all people, but as it relates to marriage, we are strict about male marrying a female exclusively.
That's a wonderful and a very wise answer, that everyone is welcome to come.
Absolutely.
After listening to the word of God, they can get a change. Now, there is a book that you have written, and every book have a history, and it comes from something that maybe you went through, or God spoke to you, or it come to your heart. Can you tell us about the book and how it came to be that you wrote a book?
Yeah, certainly, I'd be happy to, and I want to thank you for the opportunity to share my story about Struck by the Silent Killer. Struck by the Silent Killer. So in 2021, I had a stroke. I did not know what a stroke felt like. After the stroke, the Lord spoke to me and told me that I needed to pen my experience. And so hence the book, Struck by the Silent Killer.
Having known that you are struck by the silent killer, the stroke, can you be able to tell us, is there anything that maybe happened to you for you to have gone to this to a place that you were struck by the silent killer, or it's just something that happened and you became sick?
Okay, so the title of the book is Struck by the Silent Killer, but it's Victory Over Stroke. And so maybe that's the part that should be more magnified than the struck by the silent killer. And so when we talk about silent killer, salt is known as the silent killer. Hypertension is known as the silent killer. And so I was never one who was very, very conscious about my health. Even though I would preach about it, taught about it, never really practiced being serious or intentional about my health. Although I never did eat certain foods, I was very particular. But to the extent that the body is the temple, I was not as intentional about treating the body as the temple as I ought to have been.
So what you are trying to tell us is, being a minister of a gospel and also a preacher of a gospel, there is some areas you ignored, you did not fully take care of your body, and at long last you found yourself in that major tragedy.
Absolutely. So we know that according to scripture that our body is the temple. And very often what we do is that we use a lot of platitudes as it relates to that plus other things. And so I always talk about the body being the temple, but really never actually dealt with the body as the temple. When you think about what a temple is, it's a sacred place. It's a place that you treat with respect. It's a place that you treat with honor. And I did not, intentionally treat my body as that place of honor.
Wow. It's a great blessing that you are receiving this message live here in Kenya. A man of God from all the way from Florida, United States of America. And there's one question I would like to ask you. Do you mean that our body is so much important, the physical body, especially when you're talking about the spiritual matters, preaching and everything? Why are you saying that the body is important and we should take care of the body?
Well, if we go back to Genesis, immediately after God created man, immediately after he told man that I want you to have dominion, I want you to have authority, I want you to have rulership over everything. What we must not forget is that God gave man, as he did the animal kingdom, a particular diet to live by. So God, who created the body, who knows the body better than any of us, he said that this is what, it's like, for instance, if you buy a new car, the new car comes with a manual. The manufacturer knows that there's a certain way for that car to be treated. Okay, and he wants you to know that certain way. He knows that there's a certain fluids that needs to go into that car, a certain time that car needs a tune-up. And so the Creator, the all-knowing God, the all-wise God, the all-powerful God, gave us a manual. And he says that this body that I've given to you, I want you to treat it in a particular way. There are certain foods that are conducive to this body. And so when we go against that, what we're doing is that we're saying to God, listen, I know better than you. And very often we do that, maybe not intentionally, but if we do that unintentionally, we're still causing the same damage to the body. And this is an offense to God. So yes, we're given talents, we're given abilities. We're given a mandate to take the gospel around the world. But in order for us to do that, we have to have a body that's conducive to good health that will allow us to take the body, to take the gospel around the world. If we don't have health, or if we don't have good health, we're not going to be able to do that which we are commanded to do.
Wow, it's a blessing. It's an intent. That means though we are being so much on spiritual matters, about prayer, about fasting, about reading the Bible, without the healthy body, we cannot be able to accomplish the call that God have called us. Now, I would like you to give us maybe some few do's and don'ts that can help us not to end up in the hands of stroke, the silent killer.
Okay. So I think one of the first thing that I would recommend to everybody who's listening is the major thing is to recognize that your body has been given to you by God as a gift. So our body is a gift from God. That needs to be recognized. So it means that as this gift from God, like any gift, it has to be appreciated. It has to be received with gratitude. And then if we want to walk in obedience to God, then we have to recognize that He has given certain food types that are conducive to long life, if you would. For instance, in the book of Genesis chapter 3, verse number 6. Genesis chapter 3, verse 6 tells us that God says that He wants us to live until we're 120 years old. Genesis chapter 3, verse 6. Right? I tell folks that I want to live until I've gone over 120 now by my desire. Okay, I want to live longer than 120. But it's not just to live so that I can travel. Yes, that's a part of that. But the primary reason why I want to live, to 120 plus is because God says that that's my due portion. And so I now have to recognize, Apostle Dr. John, that if I'm going to live to that age, then I have to do the right thing with the body.
There's something I'm getting from you that you can be powerful. You can have everything. You have the money and the wealth. You can, especially for you being a citizen of America, married there, having staying
I was married in the UK. I got married in London.
Yeah, but you stayed there with your children.
Yeah.
Having a church there, not one church, and reaching to a place that you can have a stroke. That means there is nobody who can say it cannot have me if they don't take care of their bodies. And especially, which area is the most affected in the life of a human being when you are talking about, like for example, the stroke that you had. What are there some, like for example, some processes that they ignore and they end up being struck by the silent killer?
Okay. So as it relates to stroke, it's a silent killer because it doesn't send you an email. It doesn't send you a text message and to say, hey, I'm coming, and I'm coming on this particular day. Okay. It can be genetic. Okay. There isn't any one way that one can get a stroke. And what we all need to recognize is that stroke is colorless. It doesn't see color. Mm-hmm. It doesn't see your pocketbook. It doesn't care about your pocketbook. Mm-hmm. It doesn't care where you live. It will find you. Mm-hmm. Okay? If the laws of biology are not really kept, then anyone is likely to have a stroke. Young folks can have a stroke. Children can have a stroke. Adult can have a stroke. White folks can have a stroke. Black folks. Wow. So it goes across gender. It goes across, age. It goes across demographics. It doesn't matter who you are. You can have a stroke. So what are some of the things to look out for? Well, hypertension it's another name for high blood pressure. Mm-hmm. So what are some of the causes? Well, there are several. First of all, your salt intake is a major contributor. If you smoke, that's a contributor. If you are obese, if you're overweight, that's a contributor. If you're not into physical exercise on a regular basis, Okay, so these are contributors. And so cumulatively, if you're overweight, if you're not exercising, if you're smoking, if you're taking in, a lot of salt, and we get salt from everything pretty much, especially in our food, fast food, canned foods, anything you can contribute, hypertension, stress, all of these can be factors, and so you can have accumulation of these.
Wow, 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 wow. Listen to this. I've taken a note of some things, and I think my wife should hear this. Salt. Sometimes your wife, you just put some salt. Sometimes it's too small, and you say add. But when it is too much, you say, I always tell you don't put a lot of salt. Now I know every time there is a lot of salt, I'll be on fire in the house. Saying, please, I don't want to have stroke. I don't want to have hypertension. So, brethren, it is very much important for you to be very careful about the salt intake. The second thing is about smoking. Those who smoke, please stop smoking as early as yesterday. There is obesity. Please reduce the way you eat and balance it with exercises. And the one that I've gotten very much here is stress. Yeah, some psychologists, they call it psychologists, they say there is positive stress and negative stress. But I think even the positive stress can bring you down. If you're only thinking about, I want to buy a big car, I must buy a big car. Until you don't have money, I must buy a big car. They might look like positive until it brings you down. It becomes negative.
Absolutely.
So it is not good to carry things in your mind. Give them to God. Now, if you don't know, now you know that you can only depend on God to help you do the rest of the things so that you can take care of your body. God gave you fruits, gave you food, gave you water, gave you everything. You must be balanced. So give us a parting shot.
Short? Short? Well, listen, I think that everybody needs to know that your body is important to God. Everybody needs to know that. Everybody needs to know that God has a mandate on every person's life. And that mandate really is to take the message of the kingdom around the world. If you're not in good physical condition, it's going to be pretty tough for you to do that. It's not impossible, because there are some persons who have lost limbs and they're still taking the gospel around the world. But can you just imagine what some of those persons would be doing with the same passion that they have now without all of their functioning part? So those who have their functioning parts, and even if you don't, understand that your body is important. Your body, according to God, is His temple. Your body doesn't belong to you. Once you've surrendered your life to the Lord, it means that you're surrendered in total to Him. And so now every area of your life must come in alignment to His Word. The unfortunate thing is that we like some areas of His Word, but others we just put it aside. Well, He wants total compliance to His Word. So I'd recommend that for those who have not yet had a stroke, because anybody listening can have a stroke, then you need to get this book, Struck by the Silent Killer, Victory Over Stroke, okay? And this is going to help you. There's a sister back in America, I'm not going to call her name or where she's from, but she read the book, and she gave a testimony about the book. Yet and still, just some weeks ago, she was in the hospital. She had a stroke. And why? Stressed. She was overstressed. Now, the Bible lets us to know that we should cast our cares upon the Lord. And He tells us why. Because He careth for us. So all of that is in the book, and I would highly recommend the book, not only because I'm the author of the book, but you have a friend Dr. Rebecca and several doctors have really sanctioned the book. So please, if you can, get the book for your benefit and for that of your family and your friends.
Wow. As we come to the end, I would like us to tell us, where can we find the book?
Yeah, good question. Well, Struck by the Silent Killer, if you go online, go on the web, just type in Struck by the Silent Killer, you're going to find that it's on many, many platforms, many bookstores online. You get it from Barnes & Noble, Amazon. I mean, there are numerous places that you can get the book from, and so it's everywhere. It's available everywhere.
Now you have received the best information ever, and now you can be able to get even deeper information if you can go online, Struck by the Silent Killer, and you can be able to read the book there. You can read it online after buying it. And also, it's good to know that the writer of the book is not a young man. It's somebody that have gone through it all. And he can tell you, take care of your body. God is in need of your body. God bless you so much. I'm so happy to have met you.
Thank you for the opportunity for sharing
Welcome.
this amazing book. Thank you. I appreciate it. And you have also read the book, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I recommend you to read this book as many times as possible and encourage and connect other people. God bless you so much. Bye-bye.